Today you will learn how to talk to your friends more naturally with slang, or not so much slang expressions, but more native-like stuff. Forget all the «Привет, как дела? Здравствуйте, до свидания». That's very formal and very official. Friends don't talk like that. So today you will learn how to talk to your friends better in Russian. Starting with greetings. Of course, you can say «Привет». «Привет» is a very kind of common one to use between friends as well, but a slang one is «Здорово». «Здорово» means what's up. «Здорово». We can also shorten this to just «Здорово». «Здорово» is the same exact thing, but we say «Здорово» because it's just quicker. «Здорово», «Здорово» versus «Здорово». You know, it's a bit harder to pronounce. So «Здорово» is used a whole lot, especially in texting. When you don't want to type everything out, you can just type «Здорово» and that's going to be good enough, alright? After you greet them, then let's ask how they are doing. Of course, you can go for «Как дела?» I'm sure that you have already heard this before. «Как дела» means how are you, how are things, and things like that. But there's a whole bunch more of slang or more natural expressions that we say. First one is «Как сам?» How are you? It means how are you yourself? Like that, okay? But «Как сам» just simply means how are you, a bit more slangish, a bit more natural between friends. «Как сам». «Как сам» is asked of a guy. If it's a girl that you're asking, it's gonna be «Как сама». We just add the I, the N to make it feminine, and that's it. «Как сама». Then we can also ask «Как жизнь». «Как жизнь» means how is life. «Как жизнь». This one is not really used with kind of people who are more respect than you, older people and things like that. We don't really use «Как жизнь» with them. It's a bit too familiar, right? There's more distance between you and them to say how is life. You're not equals. They're a bit older, they maybe like as your professor, your boss. You don't use that with them. With friends, of course, use it. «Как жизнь». Another variation of this, a bit even more slang, is «Как житуха». «Как житуха», same exact thing, how is life. We simply change жизнь to житуха, and that's really it. But it's now becoming more slang, more colloquial than the one before. And lastly, we have «Как оно?» How is it? «Как оно» is also asked, how are you? How are things? But word to word, «Как оно» means how, «Как» means how, and «оно» means it. How is it? But what if somebody asks you, how are things? How is life? How do you answer that in the more colloquial stuff? First, let's talk about good to bad, starting with the good stuff. First is super. Super means superb or great, amazing, super. In English, we don't really say super to answer the question like that. We say superb or super great, super good, things like that. But in Russian, super is a great answer to say everything is great. What if things are okay? We say пойдет. Пойдет means it will do. Пойдет. Another variation of it is сойдет. Same exact meaning, it will do, it's alright. We can also say норм. Norm means okay, alright. It's actually shortened from нормально, which means normal or good or okay, to just simply норм. That's it. We can also say все четко. Все четко means everything is great, everything is perfect. Четко means precise, but it's a slang expression to say great, amazing, good. Все четко. But when things are not so good, we have these two words to describe that. First is хреново. Хреново means bad or terrible. Хреново, it's not just bad, it's kind of a little bit more than bad. But a more of a closer to cursing expression is херово. Херово is kind of like a borderline curse and not curse word. Some people will consider херово as a curse word, while some may not. It's like a borderline word. But херово means effing terrible, terrible, very bad, херово. That means that it's super bad. And again, don't ever use this in any respectable kind of circles with parents of your friends, with new people that you just meet. Just don't do it. It can't be considered cursing. You never know how they receive it. And you don't want to come off as too rude, especially as a learner, as a foreigner, right? So I would suggest only use it with people who you know are your friends and who you can be very informal with. Then I have 3 phrases for you that are pretty new in slang. I didn't hear them maybe like even 5-6 years ago. They're kind of a new slang expressions that I now hear a whole bunch. First is погнали в рестик. Погнали в рестик means let's go to a restaurant. Both of these words are now slang words. Погнали is a bit more established word. It's been in our vocabulary for a long time. Погнали means let's go. Погнали, it can be your friend is getting ready for too long. Погнали, поехали уже. Let's go, come on already, right? And then рестик is a shorter from ресторан. We simply shorten it to just рестик. Рестик is a new word. I don't think I've heard it 10 years ago even, right? It's kind of like a newer expression. Maybe the culture of going to the restaurants wasn't so popular then, but now a phrase погнали в рестик is very, very common. Also, we can add a new word to this one. Погнали в топовый рестик. Let's go to the top restaurant. Топовый means amazing, great, top notch. Топовый. Топовый also can be used with other words, not just with рестик. It can be топовый кофе, amazing coffee. Топовое пиво, amazing beer. So топовый is actually one of probably my newest word that I have added to my vocabulary maybe in the past 5 years. That means great, amazing, top notch. Something that is of a great quality. Топовый. Then we have нереально. Нереально means very. I can say было нереально круто. It was incredibly cool. Нереально means very or incredibly. Нереально means unreal. When something is unreally cool or unreally tasty, unreally funny. Of course, we don't say unreally in English, but it's like amazingly or very. Было нереально круто means it was incredibly cool or great. We had a great time. I can also say это видео нереально полезно. This video is unreally useful or very, very useful. Okay, that kind of a usage. Then we have a word прикольно. Прикольно means cool. I'm sure that you probably have heard круто or классно before. Those are kind of obvious ones or very popular ones to learn. But прикольно is also another one of those. When, let's say, your friend sends you a video and it was a cool video, something funny or interesting that happened in the video, you can respond by saying прикольно. Cool, interesting. Okay, прикольно. Прикольно is more interesting and cool than anything else. I would say it's kind of like a combination of those two, a marriage of those two, cool and interesting in one. Прикольно. Then finally, let's talk about how to say goodbye. We don't really have a lot of slang goodbyes. I would say that пока is used a whole bunch between the friends as well, but maybe two that are not so common. First is до скорого. До скорого means see you later. До скорого, and actually до скорого can be used with anybody really. It doesn't matter what their age is. You can still use до скорого with them. And then we have another one, до связи. До связи means until the next connection, technically. So let's say me and you are saying goodbye to each other, but I said I'll call you in a few hours to let you know about this, that, and the third. So instead of me saying goodbye to you, I know that I will hear from you soon. So до связи means until the next connection, really. Связь means connection. До связи is used a whole bunch, especially between guys who are more like, okay, we are business-oriented guys, we're cool, we are these kind of hardworking people. До связи is used a whole bunch. And that's it for me today, guys. Really, there's not much more that I could think of that is such a kind of obvious slang expression that you guys can use, but I'm sure that you know more than I've just mentioned. So put it in the comments right now, your slang expressions that you have learned from your friends on the internet, from playing games online, whatever it might be, put it in the comments. And then after that, join our B-Fluent class if you want to learn Russian in a more foundational way. Not just slang, but also learn all the proper forms of words, all the proper vocabulary to use so you can speak perfectly. Not just use these phrases kind of like one-offs, but actually make sentences. Join us with this button right here or with the first link in the description. It's going to be a lot of fun, a lot of useful content there. I'll be waiting for you in our B-Fluent class platform.